So our guest for this video is a bookworm like me. Hi, LG.
Oh, hi everyone who's watching Ate Sheng's channel.
Hi, welcome.
I'm LJ, her friend.
So,
Thank you for having me.
it's a pleasure to have you here. So, before we do anything else, because we're talking about how to not just survive, but to thrive in college, can you tell us your course or what the major that you're taking and how you chose it? Yeah.
Oh, I'm currently studying at University of the Philippines, Mindanao, and I'm taking Bachelor of Arts in Communication and Media Arts. I chose this because um, I think it was the result of prayer and reading a book and that desire in my heart because I was supposed to enroll in Ateneo and take up another course, which is Bachelor of Science in Chemistry. But I was praying during the first few months of quarantine that the Lord will lead me to the college where He really wants me to be. So when I received the results of my entrance exam in UP, I was actually crying because I didn't want to go to UP, but I want the course. So it was, I can't have one without having not having the other. But
Yeah.
because of the book I read, I'll show you the book. Uh, this one.
Wow.
Oh, I is it mirrored? I don't know.
No, it's
It
okay.
The Cost Within You by Pastor Matthew Barnett. Kuya Bem gave me this as I think a Christmas gift way back 2019, and then I just read it during quarantine because that's the only time that I had
Yeah.
so much time. And when I was reading it, the the author was trying to tell me that I have to let go of what I want and just accept God's plan for me.
Oh, yes.
So when I received the results, I said, I don't want this, but I think this is the answer to my prayers that the Lord will really lead me. Because I was asking if UP is really for me, I have to pass, of course.
Yeah.
So I passed. And oh my, I didn't want to, but oh, this is the Lord. I have to let go of me wanting to be in another school and taking up
Yeah.
another course. And I also felt that this is a confirmation because the Lord had planted this desire in my heart since I was grade 9, I think, that I really wanted to produce Christian films, like The Chosen. I hope you
Yeah.
watch The Chosen. I want to be. I even told my mom that I want to be part of the next seasons of The Chosen. I don't know how I'll do it, but the Lord
Nothing
will
is
make a way
impossible.
if He
Yeah.
really, yeah, if He really wants me to be part of it, then why not?
Why not?
So there, I took this course. Actually, I was trying to wrestle with God because I wanted to shift courses, but in the same school, but I
Mhm.
didn't qualify. So, okay, Lord, this is you telling me that this is really for me. So that's how I chose it.
Wow, it's such a similar kind of story with what I went through in the way that we had to let go of what we wanted so that we could
Yeah, I read
focus
your
really.
blog.
Yay. Yeah,
How's Oru?
yeah, it's amazing. So for those watching, I hope you watch the first episode of this series, where I had to
Oh,
let go
yeah.
of my desire of the school that I wanted to go to, and God gave me an even better school that I could have ever asked or imagined. Being in ORU, I learned so much specifically in the spiritual walk with God. So we have courses about how to live spirit empowered. So I've been definitely empowered through that. Why do you love reading? Oh, that's the second question. Why do you love reading?
I love reading because I love meeting lots of people. Although maybe for some books they're fictional, their stories aren't real, but they allow me to see different kinds of people, meet different perspectives, and especially when I read teen fiction books. I do read, but not much this time. But I I go to another world and wow, it's nice to have this power, this people. It's also tiring if they have to go through this situation. And then when you read Christian fiction books, like you get new perspective.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're traveling, but you're just
Yeah.
sitting or wherever you are. And I love collecting books because I feel like, oh, that's it. That's mine. All of those
Yeah.
books are mine.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm. Same. So you already know that I'm a big bookworm too. And yeah, I can't.
Sometimes when I watch your video, I keep on looking at your books. But oh my, she reads this. She reads this. I want to read this also. And your bookshelf books.
It grew over time. Yeah. So
Yeah.
in relation to that, so of course, as a bookworm, there are many books that we've read, and as you mentioned, there are different genres too. So there are the like fiction, teen
Mhm.
fiction, and there's Christian fiction as well. So what are some books that you've read recently that have helped you, encouraged you?
The first book that I showed you was one book that really helped me to just keep on flowing through to where God is leading me, what He wants me to do. Although it's kind of hard because, of course, as human as we are, we have our own desires. We want to do this, we want to do that. But sometimes the Lord says, no, not this. I want you to do this. And it's hard because, Lord, I want to do this.
Yeah.
Okay. Please just let me do this. But that book really just, hey, just touches you. Hey, no, you're not meant for that. No, you're not for that. So,
Mhm.
okay. Okay, Lord. Okay. I'm letting this go because I know you have a better purpose for me. And the other book that I recently read is this one. My mom gave this to me. It's entitled God Girl. She gave this to me when, I don't know. Oh, during my birthday. And I was reading this. Actually, I did not finish it yet, but I'm in the last part because it talks about being the God girl that you are if you're girls. I mean, it's telling us that how we giving us tips how we should live as girls spiritually, physically, emotionally, mentally, and how we are capable of influencing others. And the last, this is not a paid advertisement, but I'm reading this. I've read this recently by our host this evening, Puzzled Without
Okay.
You. It's, you know, thin. It's not as thick as the other books, but it's meaty enough that you have to have this in your bookshelves. It talks about entirely, I'm not gonna spoil. You have to buy it somewhere. I think she will post links and all the
Yes,
other stuff.
I
But
will.
you know, it talks about our life being incomplete, yes, without the creator. No, our lives will be messy. They will just like be puzzle pieces around the board that won't fit together unless there's that important piece, maybe in the middle or anywhere. But of course, the Lord should be in the center of our lives. So I believe that without the Lord, our lives will be puzzled. Of course, puzzled without Him. So go ahead and read that. And the last, um, oh, I think this is not the last.
It's
This
okay.
is memorable for me, making
Mhm.
room for leader. I received this way back 2015 when I graduated in School of Leaders too. I've already read this, but when I read it again, I was recalling, the notes that I had because we were called to be leaders, but we are not leaders without followers. And we are not leaders because we are supposed to lead, like take authority in the group or whatever, but we're there to be friends, to lead them to God, not to lead them to ourselves, and not to impose authority, our human authority, but God's authority in our
Mhm.
lives. And yes, and also, I think I'm answering. Okay, it's okay.
It's fine.
I have this two of the five series.
Oh, my sister has
It's
those.
a manga. Yes,
Yeah.
I've been looking for other books of the series, but I can't see them. I'm so frustrated. Anyway, I read these books because I love looking at, the
The drawing,
drawings,
yeah.
the expressions because it's helped me imagine the scriptures, the
Yeah.
characters as human as they are. And yeah, I think that's it.
So,
Okay.
yeah, it's nice to have other suggestions because, like, I've read a lot of books, but I think I haven't read the ones you shared, except for my book. Yeah.
Me too. I haven't read the books that you recently got. I think
Yeah,
I'm waiting for your book recommendation video.
that will come soon. I'm gonna work
So
on
that
that.
I can spy, what should I read? What should I
Yeah.
find?
And I'm just
Okay.
gonna insert this. To those of you who don't like reading, we're not forcing you to read, but it's just so different when you have a good book to read, whether it's fictional or nonfiction. Like
Yeah.
it helps you.
I think for non-readers, I think you just have to find that one book that will make you want to
Yeah,
read more.
yeah,
And you just have to find that.
yeah.
Okay. I've jotted down a few verses.
Mm,
First verse is that Proverbs 16:23, from a wise mind comes wise speech. The words of the wise are persuasive. And I think it's very important that we are careful with what we read because they will be imprinted in our minds, in
yeah,
our hearts, and we will keep on remembering them. And if we read the wrong things and keep the wrong things in our mind and in our heart, it will be very detrimental when we, live our lives and engage with other people. And I think when you keep on reading, it helps you because you collect lots of perspective and the wisdom that you gain from those books, especially the word, the Bible, of course.
mhm,
And then you get wiser in your actions, in your thoughts, in your words, and in your feelings. Although that doesn't happen in a snap, but it's important that we go through them
mhm.
every time. And then I also believe that you get different perspectives when you read the same book in another time
Yes.
because you will learn, oh, I haven't understood this part, and oh, this gave me so much insight, and then the next verses or the next book it will just support what you've read or give you another perspective. And the second is we were called to love the Lord our God with all our heart, all our soul, all our mind, and all our strength. And I think there in all your mind, not only do we get the wisdom, like what I said, we don't just get wisdom from the Bible. Of course, the Bible is really the first book that we have to read, but
Yeah.
other books, supplementary books, complementary books, and those books like the Christian fiction, the Narnia, and other books that gives us, stories that are not really like the scripture that
Yeah.
do thou shall not do this, thou shall not do that, but they give us people that we can relate to,
Mhm.
the character, oh, she's like this, and I when we find that, oh, I think I'm also like her, and then we get to see how she resolves this issue or how
Mhm.
she uses her strength to maybe in her studies or in her work. And I think it's also important to keep on reading because I don't know, this is like scientific or something, but it keeps our mind active,
Yeah.
keeps our creativity flowing, and
Mhm.
also, practically speaking, we gain more vocabulary.
Yes.
I learned a lot of words when I
Uh-huh.
kept on reading way back
Yeah.
high school. Wow, I feel like high school is so far when I just first year. But anyway, um, yeah, that's it, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you. I remember when I was a kid and I did spelling bees, and what was common with us was we all like to read.
Yeah.
So in relation to what you said about why it's important, and then you also mentioned earlier about the book that helped you choose, in a way, choose your course. Is there
Mm-hmm.
any other line or any other character that you also found yourself relating to, even if it wasn't necessarily like a Christian fiction? Because I know for me personally, if I read fiction books that are not like in the Christian lane,
Mm-hmm.
I would
Mm-hmm.
reflect on, as what you said, like if I was in their
Mm-hmm.
place, what
Mm-hmm.
would I do? And my number one is always to pray
Mm-hmm.
and to invite God,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
they don't include that. So, what's a character or like a situation you've read in a book that has helped you in whether your teenage life or in college, something like that?
Because there's a lot of books, so it's hard to choose.
Which one?
Wait,
There's a lot. So,
yeah, wait. Because they're in what do you call it, different universes.
yeah.
Like they have different
Hmm.
um okay. I think one is the selection series.
Yes.
You've
Uh-huh.
read it?
Yes, I have.
Oh my. And the story of the daughter also?
Yeah, I read it.
Yeah. Um, I think it's like what I've mentioned earlier about the leadership. They were
Hmm.
kings and queens and princes and prince and all that. But it's important with all the title is useless if the people doesn't want to follow you.
Yeah.
If you don't have if you don't show them that you're capable of leading them, and when you don't have compassion with your people too, because it's hard to like act on. Oh, wait, I have a verse on it. I'll find it first. There was a verse in relation to the book that to the scenario that I mentioned about having compassion with your people,
Hmm.
is that Matthew 14:14. Jesus saw the huge crowd as he stepped from the boat, and he had compassion on them and healed their sick. My key points for this verse is that we have to see first the people, what they're going through before we can feel, empathy, the compassion, or whatever we need to feel, the anger that why are they going through this, and we can help them and something. And before we act on them, which is the third, healing the sick. God healed their sick. Um, in this book, there were a lot of political issues in their kingdom,
Yes.
and then this daughter is, like, I don't care about them. I need my freedom and all
Yeah.
that. But she has a purpose. Like Queen Esther, she was
Yeah.
put in her position for a purpose. And when she saw her people that they're struggling with this, that's when she had compassion, and that's when she acted.
Yeah.
Although she got the love she wanted, but she fulfilled her purpose in the end. So that was like, okay, you really have to see first to have compassion and to be, the leader that they need, not the leader that you want to be. And I think the second book would be Red Queen,
Oh, yes.
the Red Queen series,
Correct that.
because okay, they have powers. They have blood. They
Yeah. Special blood.
different colors of blood, silver and red. Yeah.
Red.
Sometimes what would silver blood look like? I mean,
Yeah.
it's weird. But okay, I love the cover because they're crowns. Anyway, I love her story. Independent women are so empowering that they were able to stand up. Of course, she was broken. She was shattered inside her. She was battered physically, but in the end, she stood strong. And I think for one, we can say that there are a lot of people that will hate you. They will not like what you do, especially
Yeah.
with your color, with your hair color or your skin color, your race, your ethnicity, or something that's also connected with what's going on with the world right now. But in the end, we have to fight that the unity is there, because without unity, there will never be growth. and development that will include everyone, and everyone should have a voice. And she was the voice of, the oppressed ones and all that. So I think that was also touching because we can also stand up. Of course, when we're talking about our Christian lives, we stand up because we have a greater God who's greater than anyone. We
Yeah.
don't have powers, we don't have silver blood, we don't have crowns and anything. We are his daughters. We have that authority. We are princesses because he's a king. And
Mhm.
that alone can enable us. That alone will help us, will push us to stand strong for those who can't speak for themselves, and those that who need our help.
Yeah. So I think that's also part of being careful with what you read. So those books are like they're okay and they actually encourage or help us reflect on our own selves, right? Like there are some books that you should not read, especially no
Mm,
matter what age you are. There's some books that you just shouldn't read because it'll mess with your mind.
yeah.
But there are some books like this where you get to reflect and relate it to real life.
When I read your reviews on movies, it
Yeah.
was like, how did she find these things when I was just, oh my gosh, with the movie? Oh, he's so guapo, or this character is so nice. And then when I read your review, oh,
Whoa.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
So it's important that you also get, yeah, when you read,
Yeah.
you get perspective from other people and you also say, ah, right.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Because there are always life lessons to learn. And so
Mm-hmm.
I actually, this came into my mind because I remember your mom was talking to, I don't know if it was a worship team or I forgot where I heard it, but we were in church and then she shared when you were younger how she didn't want you to read a lot of stories on Wattpad. And I was like, oh, and I could relate
Yes.
because I write stories there. And then I thought of you and I was like, oh, so she's also on Wattpad. And that leads me to a random question, but what do you prefer, online reading or paperback?
Paperback. I started reading Narnia way back. I think I was 8 years old from a friend's phone.
Oh,
I
wow.
started like until 20 pages of seven of the all of the seven books
Yeah.
and ended up not finishing them because this is so tiring. You just scroll and you don't know, you don't have the book. And I love the smell of
Different.
books.
That's what a lot
So
of people agree on. Yeah.
no. Actually, I was in Wattpad until grade 9, I think. But I didn't tell them. But what I loved reading in Wattpad was also the same genre that I love reading
Mm,
physically.
yeah.
Fiction, power. I call them
Fantasy.
power. I love
Fantasy.
reading. Yes,
Yeah.
I always love reading or watching everything that involves power. But there are also lots of good books in Wattpad, like your books. I'm plugging. This is not a paid ad.
I
I'm
did not
telling you
tell her
all.
that.
I just know that she has lots of book in Wattpad. It's not yet physically published, but I think she'll announce it sometime soon. But
Maybe.
anyway, there are also lots of books. Also, not those that in the Christian lane.
Yeah.
Like those that is required at school. Expensive when you buy them. There's a
Yeah.
lot of,
Oh,
oh, why
ebook.
is this here?
Oh,
Yeah, and it's nice because when you don't have money, you go to that app, you know,
yeah. It's
and
free.
just access their reading.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but I think it really depends on how you choose what you read. That's why
Yeah.
it's so important to be discerning with what you read
Hmm.
and how you read them and how you take your time in reading them. Oh,
Okay, go.
also add because you know that Ate Sheng is writing there. It's also an avenue for writers to start writing.
Yes,
You
it
know,
is.
you
It
don't
helps.
have the means to publish like, physically, so you can start in Wattpad
Yeah.
and maybe just share some stories like that.
Yeah. It also helps us grow. I know I've grown a lot in
Mm,
writing because of that. Like I even made a separate account. That's why I have two. Because I wanted to like this is my new way of writing compared to the old one. But I'm just gonna insert on Wattpad and whatever other online books or even physical books. But for me, it was on Wattpad where I also realized like there are other stories that seem misleading. Like by the title and the cover, it seems fine, and when you read it, you're like, "Oh my goodness, what is this?" And so I learned that, and so I basically would like tell friends like, "I'm not gonna read any more books that are in this genre." I even on Wattpad, thankfully, they have ways to block certain themes that you don't want. So I blocked them because I was like, "Oh no." But then it also gave me the encouragement, and as what you said, like to keep writing stories that glorify God, because if people like to read, then these will somehow get there. So yeah.
Question just popped in my mind. You
Okay.
know the saying, "Do not judge the book by its cover,"
Yeah.
but there are really books that you can judge immediately from the cover.
Like they
Okay.
attract you. Yeah. Mhm.
There are also misleading covers, and I think it's
Yeah.
very important also that we, as writers, especially when you're Wattpad or when you publish a book,
Yeah.
it's important to connect your cover to your plot or the content of your book, and also
Yeah.
to choose properly.
Yeah.
Like that.
That's why summaries
That's
are
it.
important. But
Yes, at the back
I
also.
think it's a thing now where summaries are cliffhangers, so you really don't know what's gonna happen in the
Yeah,
summary.
yeah.
So yeah. So thank you for joining us in this video. Hopefully there will be a part 2 soon and we get to share more.
Yes.
So yeah, stay safe, keep praying, and God bless.